Hi, it's Joe from Stratus, and I'm here to give you tips for selecting the right MBA recommenders. Many people find it challenging to tell their personal story in a logical and compelling way within the limited business school application materials. In fact, many of my clients found it difficult to discuss the great things they have done for fear of sounding too braggadocious. Therefore, recommenders are a critical part of the MBA application process because they provide the admissions committee with an outsider's perspective of your story. Choosing the right recommenders is a key decision. Choosing the wrong recommenders and/or not managing the process effectively can be the difference between being accepted and getting deemed. Consider the following tips when selecting your recommender. Number 1, know your MBA application. Very few applicants have a perfect business school application, so being aware of your strengths and weaknesses is important. Admissions committees evaluate multiple aspects, including anything from undergraduate performance to test scores to community involvement. They look for leadership experience, your professional progression, and global exposure, just to name a few. Do you have weaknesses in one or more of these areas? If so, how can your recommenders improve your story in these dimensions? For example, if you have a poor test score and didn't have a strong quant undergraduate performance, consider a recommender who can provide examples of your strong analytical ability so that the AdComs do not question your ability to handle the academic rigors. It will be key to have the recommenders get into detail about the quant skills you've exemplified in specific projects, thus demonstrating your ability to do the quant work in an MBA program. This should be easy if you are in a mathematical role like the finance, marketing, operations, or accounting department at your company, but may require more creativity if your role is not inherently quantitative. Think about what analysis you thrive in on a regular basis. Also, if you do not have direct reports, your recommender can help show your leadership qualities. This can include managing up or leading a particular project or even mentoring people who do not report to you. Since leadership is not solely about being the boss, you may potentially have many examples to show you as a leader, and your recommender can tell this part of your story. Number 2, titles don't matter. Although it may be tempting to ask the head of your company to write a letter on your behalf, this decision could backfire. The admissions committee would much rather see an MBA recommendation letter from a direct supervisor who worked with you every day than one from a CEO who barely knows you. Recommenders are commonly asked 2 questions. One relates to the applicant's performance and maturity relative to peers, and the other pertains to a time when the applicant received constructive feedback. So it's logical to think first about who knows your peer group and who has given you constructive feedback. The best letters of recommendation include strong, specific examples exhibiting your characteristics, as well as how you grew, stood out from your peer group, or improved the company. Such illustrations are best and most authentically told from the perspective of those you work with the closest. Therefore, choose a recommender who has worked closely with you and can speak to your attributes and strengths firsthand. I once had a client ask if this particular advice means that she should not use a recommender who had a high-level C-suite title. She feared that the admissions committee would be turned off by seeing someone with such a lofty title, despite the fact that she worked with this person very closely. Fear not. As long as you are picking someone who knows you, your work product, and your strengths really well, no title, lofty or not, will be a turnoff. Number 3, who cares the most? Ask yourself one simple question. Of all the recommenders you're considering, who do you think cares the most about you going to business school and advancing your career? The best letters are often written by recommenders who care deeply about the MBA candidate. Given that applicants often apply to multiple schools and each school utilizes different questions and ranking systems, the process can be quite demanding for a recommender, often more than they even expected. Consequently, a recommender who cares is more likely to spend the time needed to write a strong letter, highlighting thoughtful examples, using superlative language, and speaking favorably about your strengths and attributes. In fact, I had a client whose recommender thought the process would be simple, but then found the MBA recommender questions to be more daunting. So my client had to regroup and find a new recommender, and this proved to be a much better choice as the new recommender was a true champion and advocate for my client. Most of the top MBA programs still require 2 letters of recommendation, with the expectation that one of them will be your current supervisor. However, there are some cases where getting your current supervisor is not feasible, such as if telling your current supervisor could potentially harm your standing in the organization, or your boss is new to the role and is not familiar with your work, or you work in a family business where your supervisor is mom or dad and the AdCom does not want to hear from them, or lastly, you're an entrepreneur and you're the boss. So the admissions committee understands these situations and provides opportunity for you to explain why you're not using your current supervisor. This could be in the optional essay or an essay specifically devoted to explaining your recommender. Just be direct and honest, and for those situations you can choose an old boss you worked closely with, significant clients who can speak to your work product, a supervisor from a community group you're involved in, or a peer if and only if they have good standing in the company and can give a great deal of information about your accomplishments and strengths. Lastly, number 4, manage the recommender. Engage your recommenders early and be respectful of their time. They likely are busy and in demand, so make the process as easy as possible for them. Likewise, if a potential recommender is too busy or just not available for things such as a maternity leave, then don't force it. As you approach potential recommenders, focus on nurturing your relationship and providing guidance regarding the process. They will be appreciative and you will get a much better letter. To provide this guidance, let the recommender know the basics, how the process works, what they need to submit, the deadlines, the schools to which you're applying, and the actual questions. As they gain comfort around their obligations, you can prepare the recommender with some further direction. Highlight key traits you'd like to demonstrate throughout the MBA application and remind them of specific situations they could write about, as this will empower them. Remember, you know your story and your business school application better than they do. So you must take the lead in describing the process and what will make it successful. For example, remind them of stories where you had to demonstrate leadership or communication skills. Was there a time when you overcame huge obstacles to get a desired result? Or perhaps there was a situation where a client was not responding well to bad news and you were the one to smooth things over. These are the types of examples you should arm your recommenders with so they can tell the stories from their perspective. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe. Stay tuned to Stratus on YouTube and the socials for more tips and updates. Thank you for your time.